It's happening, XRP holders. BlackRock and Japan were both caught red-handed purchasing cryptocurrencies including Bitcoin, XRP, and a few others. Completely crazy. Apple plans to shift production of all US-sold iPhones from China to India by 2026. This is one of the other weird things that are happening in the markets right now, and I have to give myself a pat on the head for predicting it. As I have repeatedly stated, the United States and India were both feigning to shift production from China to India in order to negotiate a stronger trade agreement, and this is actually taking place. What relevance does any of this have to cryptocurrencies, you ask? Where's the news about BlackRock? We will discuss all of that in the near future. First of all, though, this is a huge problem because India will see a significant change in the global economy, is going to be an economy that is most likely going to blow up in the next years because of just one update alone. Over the next 5 years, this will enable trillions of dollars to pour into India, drastically altering our geopolitical environment. India would love nothing more than to expand its economy with its enormous population, and they have the people and resources to easily make this collaboration a reality. However, China and India are two very different countries with two very different aims. Therefore, given that China and India have quite distinct cryptocurrency policies, it is likely that this will lead to strange things for the cryptocurrency space. Guys, here's what's happening. As I mentioned before, BlackRock Japan is doing some really insane things. It appears that XRP is beginning to gain traction in Japan. As of right now, South Korean and Japanese cryptocurrency holders find XRP to be quite appealing because they recognize its potential, that it's a practical cryptocurrency that addresses a particular issue. However, Mercari, the largest resale app in Japan with over 20 million monthly users, recently introduced XRP to its platform in addition to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Customers can now use sales gains or points to purchase XRP for just 1 JPY. It is currently taking place. We had been waiting for this adoption. Thus, basically, we will witness a number of individuals selling goods on this resale app, converting their Japanese yen to XRP and, of course, adding a great deal of liquidity to XRP. And this is just the beginning. Not to mention SBI Holdings, which will handle cross-border payments throughout Japan, and numerous more large companies that are incorporating XRP into their internal systems within Japan. Here's another illustration. For 1.92 billion yen, Japan's MetaPlanet has purchased 145 more Bitcoin. As a result, we are beginning to observe that many Japanese public businesses are purchasing Bitcoin and XRP and incorporating cryptocurrencies into their financial sheets. They are making it a form of easily available money that their users may use for transactions or transfer to other currencies. This is really amazing. We've been waiting for a use case like this, but regrettably, we haven't been able to take advantage of it because of all the other significant news and current geopolitics. I'm bringing you guys this news since we haven't been able to see it. And while the price of XRP won't increase by 10 times overnight, it will undoubtedly have a significant effect over the next months. That's what we want to see as more and more individuals begin to accumulate and use XRP on a daily basis. However, BlackRock is also a component of this puzzle, as I previously stated. Indeed, central banks are seeking to purchase more Bitcoin, according to the $11 trillion 0 cents BlackRock firm. This clip is really bizarre. Therefore, I want to play it for you all. BlackRock is where this guy's from. Let's start the video. In the long run, cryptocurrency is not linked to US tech equities. What you need to consider, in my opinion, is whether you are searching for a short-term or long-term solution. You may observe that all kinds of assets have increasing relationships with one another over a short period of time. Indeed, if you examine the past few weeks when there has been more market turbulence, you will discover that everything from equities and bonds to cryptocurrency trading has increased correlations. Zooming out, however, usually reveals a longer-term fundamental thesis, similar to that of Bitcoin, genuinely influence it to act differently than conventional assets. The long-term relationship between Bitcoin and US stocks is more akin to points 2 or 3. The asset has little correlation, and the reason for this is that many of the factors that propel stocks, such as greater growth, greater predictability, and decreased geopolitical risk, actually work against Bitcoin. When you are more uncertain and searching for anything that will act differently, Bitcoin thrives. This should therefore act like an uncorrelated asset on a fundamental level. Additionally, I believe that there will be a dispersion among these assets as more time passes in this uncertain atmosphere. Yes, Jay, we are discussing cryptocurrency, namely Bitcoin. Has outflow, uncorrelated assets and returns. We can definitely anticipate a further decline in stocks if the global tariff situation doesn't improve on its own, lingers on, or, fingers crossed, becomes worse. Would it be fair for bonds to decline in value relative to dollars while cryptocurrency and Bitcoin continue to rise? In the long run, we would expect that commodities like gold and Bitcoin should continue to rise if this is the trend of increased global uncertainty. Is the kind of unpredictability that makes people search for alternatives, for areas of their portfolio that will behave differently than stocks and bonds. We have observed it in the flows, in the positioning of investors, and in the large inflows into Bitcoin and gold exchange-traded funds, ETFs. And the reason for this is that people are searching for assets that will act in a different way. Let me ask you, shall I? It would be simple to blame the president and a trade war, wouldn't it? However, this diversification away from conventional assets and into gold and cryptocurrency isn't that correct. It most likely started 3 or 4 years ago. Did you do it today or at least 2 or 3 years ago? Because many people point to Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine and the fact that $300 billion, 0 cents worth of Russian central bank funds were seized in Belgium at the time as the catalyst for nations like China to stop recycling their excess funds into treasuries or less and more into gold and cryptocurrency. And that's fair, right? Well, if you look at a few things, you'll see that central banks all over the world have been moving toward diversification beyond simply holding dollars for decades. This shift from holding dollars to gold and then looking at other assets like Bitcoin is a trend that has been developing for years. If you go back a bit, I believe we at BlackRock introduced our new thematic investing framework, Megaforces, in 2023, and for the first time, we truly saw geopolitical fragmentation as a powerful engine propelling global development over the ensuing decades. Incredibly fascinating. They're really ahead of the curve here, I must say. Obviously, BlackRock, know a lot of things that the most of us don't. However, their message is rather obvious. In essence, they are attempting to convey that cryptocurrency will serve as a buffer against the monetary and fiat systems, and that, in many respects, it will be safer to invest in than stocks at these unpredictable economic times. And it makes a lot of sense because cryptocurrency is accessible to everyone with the assumption that they can access the internet in some way or that they have a friend who has access to it. I take it that it's readily accessible? That is entirely accurate. Indeed, there is a lot of logic in wanting to find something entirely different when your dollar is depreciating and all of your stocks are declining. Additionally, he mentions that gold and cryptocurrencies are both excellent choices, and I tend to agree with that. I believe that more individuals ought to adopt this viewpoint since, well, it is basically the purpose for why cryptocurrencies were created. It is a corruption-free alternative fiat system. For instance, they are unable to just mint billions of Bitcoin. This being stated, I decided to see what BlackRock was up to, and after a little research, this is what I discovered. Bitcoin has been purchased in large quantities by BlackRock. In fact, they currently own 2.77% of all Bitcoin. This week alone, they purchased more than $1,200,000,000, 0 cents worth of Bitcoin, and that amount is really increasing daily.